Okay, so have you ever been in a conversation in English and someone asks you a simple question like, "So, what did you do yesterday?" And suddenly your brain just stops like nothing. Complete silence inside your head. And you're standing there thinking, I know how to say this. I know what happened yesterday. Why can't I speak?
Yeah, that feeling. I know it well.
It's not because your English is bad. It really isn't. It's because speaking about the past feels different. It feels like there's more to get wrong, more verb forms to remember, more chances to make a mistake. So your brain just freezes. And then the silence gets longer. And then you feel embarrassed. And then you just say, "Oh, nothing special," even when something really happened.
To be honest, I still do that sometimes, and English is my first language. Sometimes it's just easier to say nothing.
Right? And that's what we want to talk about today. Not grammar, not rules, just how do real people in real conversations talk about what happened yesterday? What do they actually say? How does it actually sound? Because that's what you need. Not a textbook, a conversation.
Exactly. And you know, by the end of today's episode, I think English is just going to feel a little lighter, a little less scary.
So if English sometimes feels stressful, if you've ever frozen up when someone asks about your day, stay with us. This one's for you. Okay, Bob, I want to ask you something. When English learners try to talk about yesterday, what do they usually get stuck on?
Oh, wow. Honestly, the biggest thing I see? People know what they want to say. They have the story in their head. But when they open their mouth, they go really formal, like textbook formal. They say things like, "Yesterday I have woken up at 7 o'clock and I have eaten breakfast."
Which, okay, we understand it completely, but it just sounds a little stiff.
Yeah, and that's not their fault. That's just how it gets taught sometimes. And then people feel embarrassed when it doesn't sound natural. But you know what? Nobody is judging you, I promise.
Another thing I hear a lot, people say, "I didn't went," or "I didn't ate." And look, I want to say something really clearly. If you've ever said that, you are in good company. Like really good company. I've heard native English speakers make that exact same mistake when they're tired.
Yeah, that's the thing. Mistakes don't mean you can't speak English. They just mean you're speaking English, which is the whole point.
Exactly. And sometimes people get so focused on not making mistakes that they stop talking altogether. And then they feel like they're failing. But you're not failing. You're just overthinking it.
You know what else is really common? People know a lot of vocabulary, but when it comes to putting a simple story together, like, "I went to the market, and then I came home and I cooked dinner," they freeze on those little connecting words. The "and then," the "after that," the "so," those tiny things.
The glue words.
Yes, the glue. And those are actually the most important words in a story. Not the big vocabulary, the glue.
And if that's you, if you've ever stumbled on the glue words, we're going to talk about exactly those later. So keep listening. Okay, Bob, I want to hear about a real conversation. Something that actually happened to you. Something where talking about your day or your week felt awkward or weird or funny. Can you give me something?
Oh, okay. So, this is actually kind of embarrassing, but okay. So last year I was in a meeting with some new colleagues. We're doing the classic small talk before it starts. And someone asks me, "How was your weekend?" Very normal question, very easy question.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, and I quote, "Yeah, it was, good." And then, nothing. Just silence. I blanked. I had an entire weekend. I went hiking, I cooked a whole new recipe, I watched a movie, and I said, good.
Good. Just good.
Just good. And the awkward silence after that was a lot. And I'm thinking, I'm a native speaker. I have no excuse. But honestly, in that moment, my brain just didn't know where to start.
See, and this is exactly what I want our listeners to hear. Because I think a lot of people imagine that fluent speakers or native speakers never freeze up. They always have the perfect story ready, perfectly told. And that's just not true.
Not even close. I think the difference, and this took me a while to figure out, is just having like a small pattern, a small way to start. So instead of trying to tell the whole weekend, you just pick one thing, just one.
Ooh, say more about that.
So like, instead of, "My weekend was good," you say, "Oh, actually, I went hiking on Saturday. It was really nice." That's it. Just one moment, one detail. And suddenly the whole conversation changes. Because now the other person goes, "Oh, where did you go?" And now you're talking. You're not performing. You're just talking.
I love that. Because I think that's the real fear, isn't it? People think they have to tell a perfect, complete, well-organized story. And that pressure is what freezes them.
Yeah. And honestly, nobody wants the full story. They want a spark. Just give them a spark.
Did you hear that? Just a spark. Not a perfect essay. Just one small thing. I made pasta last night. I watched a really funny video. I went to bed way too late. That's conversation. That's real English.
And you know what's funny? The best conversations I've had, the ones that felt the most natural, started with something really small, really simple. So yesterday was kind of weird, actually. And then the other person goes, "Oh yeah? Why?" And you're off. You're just talking.
Yesterday was kind of weird. That is honestly one of my favorite ways to start a conversation. Nobody can resist asking why after that. If this sounds like you, if you've ever blanked on a simple question, hit the like button. It helps other learners find this podcast. And it tells us this is exactly the kind of conversation you want. Okay, so you've heard us use some of these naturally, but let's actually look at them for a second. Not like a lesson, just like, oh, that's how that works. Can I try something, Bob?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, so someone asks you, what did you do last night? A lot of people would try to say, last night I was watching television and after I went to sleep. Which is fine, honestly. But here's how it would actually come out in a real, relaxed conversation. So last night I just ended up watching this show, and then I kind of fell asleep on the couch. Do you hear the difference?
Yeah. And it's not about being more complex. It's actually simpler in a way. It's just looser. More like how you'd think out loud.
Exactly. And words like ended up, that's such a useful one. I ended up staying late at work. I ended up ordering pizza. It means things kind of happened. You didn't totally plan it. It's very natural, very everyday.
And kind of, like we've both been saying that all episode. Kind of nice. Kind of weird. Kind of tired. It softens everything. It makes you sound real, not like you're reading from a script.
Oh, and here's one I love. Actually. Bob uses it all the time. Actually, I went hiking. Actually, it was really nice. It's like a little word that says, here's something more interesting than you expected.
Yeah, I do say that a lot. I mean, to be honest, I never noticed until just now. But yeah, actually just makes things feel more alive.
And the glue words, and then, so, after that, but then, these are what make your story flow. You don't need big vocabulary, you just need glue. So next time you're telling someone about your day, don't try to be perfect. Just grab the glue. One thing led to another. That's it.
That's actually a pretty good way to think about it. One thing led to another. That's every conversation.
Okay, so before we go, I want to say something I really mean. If you've ever avoided a conversation because you were scared of speaking English, I understand that feeling. It's real, it's valid, and it doesn't mean you're bad at English.
It just means you haven't had enough of these conversations yet. Relaxed ones, human ones, without pressure.
Exactly. And that's why we're here. Every episode, we want you to walk away feeling just a little more comfortable, a little more like, okay, I can do this. Because you can.
You don't need perfect English. You just need more conversations. And honestly, you just had one. You just listened to us talk for 20-something minutes, and you understood everything. That's not nothing. That's something.
That's everything. Okay, so if this episode felt familiar, if you've ever frozen on a simple question about your day, tell us in the comments. Seriously, write, yesterday was kind of, and finish the sentence. In English, just one line. You can do it.
And if you have a friend who's learning English, or who's scared to speak, send them this episode, because this might be exactly what they need.
Like, subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one. Take care, okay?